Yeah. We on?
You know it.
We on. Back at it again. Another episode. Generation Us. I'm O, the futuristic baby boomer.
It's Lavala Progressive Millennial.
Gotta change his name.
We have with
I
our
said it's Lavala. What do you mean?
couple of our recurring guests. Sherman.
Sherman, the booming boomer. That's right.
And we have Idrienne.
Yes.
Back again.
Yes, back again.
The undesignated.
Well,
Undesignated.
she's
Gen
been a
Zer.
millennial, but she's also a Gen
Gen
Z,
Z.
right?
Gen Zer / millennial.
That's right. Depending on the topic.
Yeah, depending on the topic.
Okay.
Yeah. So
depending on the criticism.
depending on the criticism.
Depending on
So,
the criticism.
so that actually tees up our first topic very well. Because, I read an article that talked about the fact that millennials are, having significant mental health challenges as it relates to kind of dealing with daily life. I also, that same article indicated that Gen Z was having more of a challenge than even millennials are having. And for me, being a reluctant boomer, I think it's interesting to me that this dynamic has happened. And I wonder whether or not, is it a function of, how we dealt with the pandemic? But we all dealt with the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to figure out why is it that, and maybe it's that boomers are more in denial about the mental challenges that we encounter, and we just like suck it up and deal with it and just make everybody around us miserable. Or maybe it's that
Can you change your cup placement real quick? But that's gonna bother me.
I will do that. Where would you like for me to put it?
Anyone on the side is good. Yeah.
So I'm
so-
curious about that.
Well, what do you guys think? What do you think about what's happening? What do you make of it?
So I'm conflicted because part of me feels like I think younger generations should be harder. They should be more sturdy. They should be, deal with some shit, right? But then again, at the same time, I'm open to the possibility that, the challenges that y'all are facing are more daunting than what the fuck I dealt with growing up. It's kind of hard to think about that. Y'all have technology. You got fucking Uber Eats. You got motherfuckers delivering your food. You got motherfuckers instantaneous gratification. I ain't none of that shit.
You know what they got that we didn't have?
What?
Timeouts.
We
used to
never
get
had
ass
timeouts.
whoopings.
Yeah, got our ass kicked. Did y'all get beat?
I did. I mean, I grew up in Africa, so yeah. There's no escaping that.
Right, you got beat.
We used to go and pick our own swish.
No, we had to do that too.
Is that where the
Now-
tradition came from?
Yeah.
So I can blame you for that.
Yeah, no bullshit. I had to pick my own switch.
I mean, there was something to it. I mean, but I respected my parents out of fear and love. There was a good combination because they loved me too. So I saw that expression. So that was different. But some people, when you punish your kids with only fear, the risk of love is not being respected. They listen to you, but they don't respect you. Whereas giving them a reason to understand what they did, make the consequence more reasonable. Something that is a learning experience, not something that make them feel outraged and resent you. So, do I think that's I wouldn't do that with my kids, but
You wouldn't do what?
I wouldn't punish my kids in that way. I
wouldn't
wouldn't
beat
my
your
kids.
kids?
No.
I think that's a good point. There are a lot of boomers that raised children and raised them in a particular way. I was spanked as well. I picked my own switch as well. And I wouldn't spank my children. I don't think that you need to spank children for them to do what you want them to do. And I didn't know that until I lived with a family as a nanny, a black family that didn't. And I was able to see how effective your words can be. And I really appreciated that. There's another way. I think millennials, Gen Zers are discovering that there are other ways to live within society and still produce the same result.
Or better.
Or better.
Yeah, okay. So 3 weeks ago, I was at, the grocery store. And I saw this little kid. It happened to be white. Didn't have to be. And the mom said, come on, let's go. And the kid said, no, I'm not going nowhere. And
I think you had to be white.
and started pulling shit off the shelf. Now, for me, that I never would have done that with my parents.
Right.
And I've seen some kids that say anything, do anything, run the fuck amok.
There are many people with criminal records that were spanked very heavily as children. And there's also a lot of research that shows that spanking children is incredibly harmful to them as they grow up. I mean, there's not really a one shoe fits everyone. There are probably some children that respond very well to being spanked, a very quick message that they need to change their behavior. And there are other children who probably don't respond well to that.
Okay.
And
when you say that, that makes me think about my days playing sports, right? And so coaches coach some players hard by getting in their ass and cussing them out. And some players can't handle that. They need more coddling, more encouragement. And as a good coach, you have to coach your players according to who they are as individuals to get the best out of them.
But
So
I'm
I
not
get that.
necessarily saying coddling. I'm not saying children who are not spanked are not necessarily coddled.
Did they ever grow up to be criminals?
Whoa. What
Yes,
a correlation.
Many children who
And not spanked, robbing the fuck out you.
and many children who are spanked
So spanking's not
have
the key then.
convictions. So to me, spanking your children doesn't mean that you're going to have a child that just grows up and is a normal, productive member of society.
And spanking your children doesn't mean you're going to have a hardened criminal as a child.
Well, here's the middle that you guys are talking about two extremes, right? Like it's about lazy parenting. That's what it is. You don't have to spank your kid, but you don't have to be lazy with raising your kids. Spending time with them, digging down and trying to figure out why they're doing what they're doing, having conversations with them about that.
I think that's a good point.
It's literally that
funny.
leads to a better outcome. That leads to your kid loving you so much, respecting you so much that he doesn't want to hurt you or see you
So listen.
disappoint you. That's a better way. That's a better
true.
child than you spanking
That's true.
him,
Wait.
potentially leaving the house and going astray,
No.
probably robbing a bank too.
No, but here's
You know?
Here's the thing.
You
Here's
think
the thing.
spanking is going to not let a kid
Here's
rob a
the
bank?
thing.
Right. And that's all I'm
My
saying.
methodology, as the only person with a kid in here, and I've got two. My methodology has always been, and I've said it on this podcast before: early and often. Right? Spank them early and often. Now, the thing about it is, kids love to have boundaries, and they test them. And when they go outside the boundary, there should be consequences for it, whether it's a spanking, whether it's a timeout or whatever. But a kid with no boundaries and no rules is a miserable individual.
But we don't
And
disagree with that.
that's why I kind of agree with lazy parenting. Oh, just let him do whatever he wants to do. No. A kid loves a boundary. He wants to bump up against it. He wants to test it. He wants to go outside it every now and then.
Yeah, and spanking is the easiest route. I think there are multiple things that can replace spanking that still would let the kid have boundaries, have respect for you, and be disciplined.
If
And
you
guys are
give a
thinking
kid
of
a
spanking.
time, if you give a kid a timeout and say stand over here and don't get out of this chair, and as soon as you turn your back, the kid gets up and leaves. What are you gonna do?
You put
Tell
him
him
back
back
in
this-
the chair.
Yeah.
And okay, wait a minute, hold on, all right, and they get back in the chair,
But
and then as soon as you turn,
you don't physically put him back in the chair. You say, Johnny, get back in the
You can
chair.
Then you try the take away method. There's so many things. If you take away his toy, take
take away
away
the chair.
something. Take away something he cares about that will equate to the same feeling. Whatever that feeling is that will lead him to not want to do it. Spanking could be one of them, but something else that you can take away from that or make him feel that could be equivalent to him wanting to respect you and fall in line. After all, you take care of this motherfucker. Like you know what I mean? Like there's so many things you can take away. Like be creative. Come on, parent. Like
Not food, man. You can't take food.
take that away before you spank him at
clothing,
least.
Shelter.
you're not having dinner.
I think
You're starved if you don't do the fuck I say.
all we're saying is that there are
Kim Jong Un, Kim Jong Un up in this motherfucker.
You can treat different children differently, and just not
Yeah.
spanking children doesn't mean that they are going to turn out.
Okay, let me ask
Yeah.
this question.
So
You say
I'm
you.
gonna kill your uncle if you don't say do. Kim
Right.
Jong-un method.
You love your uncle, right? I'm gonna kill him if you don't do what I tell you to do. All right. So you got spanked, right?
I did get spanked. Yes.
I'd say you're pretty well adjusted. Did you get spanked?
I did. Yes.
You're pretty well adjusted. Did you get spanked?
I got whooped.
Whooped.
Got a whooping.
Pretty well. I got my ass beat when I needed it, and we're all pretty well adjusted.
Listen. I needed it.
Yeah, because if I didn't get my ass beat, look.
Well, I needed some kind of disciplinary measure.
We all agree on that.
The only ones that was available at the time
Who's that?
was ass whooping.
So
No, but maybe you were hard-headed. I mean, I sincerely...
I
Were
just
you?
said I needed
no, I
yeah, but
really,
you still got spanked.
Unfortunately,
Right.
I really do not think that every child needs to be spanked.
I don't think they need to be
think
either.
that's right.
Children
Right.
respond. There are some children who I used to have a friend in middle school, and it was the same way. She always opted to get a spanking. I mean, I feel like when you
Well, she was
grow
into
up
some
in the community, you know,
BDSM
you do,
shit.
It's like
She
you're not just
like-
spanked,
like
you're
this.
whooped. Like you get a spanking at 18. Like my mother, if I talked out of line, I would get a spanking today. That is just the family that I come from, and she had more of a perspective that it takes a village. So she would let anybody spank me if I got out of line, which
Damn.
wasn't necessary because I didn't. But that's
And you
just
knew the
way-
world would fuck you up.
Well, I mean, like family, you
Yeah.
know, if I went to a family member's house, but she always opted for the spanking because it didn't mean anything to her. She got it, it hurt a little bit, and then she went back to that behavior. But, and so all children are different, and I think that Black people have a perspective that when you have children, they must be spanked in order for them to listen
Spare
to
the
you.
rod, spoil the
I
child.
have to agree with that point because I have a brother, my blood brother. My father said, "Don't go outside the yard." Went outside the yard. Right? Brought him in the house and said, "You went outside the yard. Would you rather have a spanking, or would you rather go up in your room?" He said, "Give me the spanking so I can go back outside."
Yeah.
Right? So the punishment for him was go up in your room. Yeah, I guess that was a timeout. You know, my parents were getting better at parenting, you know, and so I have to agree with that. But my brother, there was really nothing that could stop him because when they took him up to his room, he climbed out the window.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, some kids are like
yeah.
that. You can't raise Mike Tyson and not
So,
spank him.
well, okay, that's true.
Like,
But I understood growing up. You know, my father had a 3-time rule, right? You know, once you go ahead and clean the bathrooms, okay, that's 1. 2, hour and a half later, didn't I tell you to go clean those bathrooms? That was 2. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it. 3, couple hours later, oh, you're getting your ass beat. Now, you learned to move on 2. And then when you got smart, you learned to go ahead and get it out the way on 1. Go ahead and clean the bathroom. Boom. Clean the bathroom and you ain't worried about getting fucked up later on.
But that
It's
is
done.
because spanking would have been effective for that person. And all we're saying is that spanking is not effective for everyone.
it's a band-aid.
But it's
don't
effective for
need-
everybody around
It-
this table.
It's a band-aid and it's a
That's
temporary
just
fix
what you
to
believe.
a long-term.
No, it's what you told me.
You're assuming that had I not gotten spanked, that I would have turned out differently. I would
Yes.
have been a bad child. And I
No,
don't
you be
believe that.
different. And you like who you are, right?
I love who I am, but
Exactly.
I don't think
And-
that I am who I am because I was spanked.
No, but you're the
aren't-
sum of all
but
your
aren't we
experiences.
agreeing-
That is a spurious correlation there.
Aren't we agreeing that spanking works for some kids and not others?
Yes, we are agreeing that.
So if that's the agreement, then I do not agree, and I didn't agree before I sat down here, that timeouts work for everybody. Some kids need to be spanked.
Sure. I agree.
Okay, so you do accept
Alright.
that spanking is appropriate in some cases.
We can move on.
Sure.
I'm a no. I'm a no. I think you can get through it without spanking.
Most
but that's
people
me.
who
Yeah,
believe
but
that
you'd
it's
be
okay.
bald headed and crazy.
Put him in boxing class. Let him kickbox with someone his age.
Most people who believe
Let him
that
learn that way.
spanking is
Let
appropriate
him get his ass whooped
just
that way.
spank all of their children. They don't assess to see if one, is better than the other. Like you said, your parents got better with spanking. I mean, at that point, he was climbing out the window. It probably wasn't 3 or 4. So it's taking years.
He was about 12. 13.
Okay, right. So we're at 12, 13, and there are many parents within our community that would never even make that assessment. They choose to spank, and I think that we spank our children early and often. There's no reason that you need to spank a 2-year-old. They're 2. We just kind of decide that.
You hit that hand. Stop it.
When you're 2, you don't have the same cognitive ability. You don't
associate
have
it
the same,
with.
Here's the thing.
You don't have the same understanding of right versus wrong. If you see a 2-year-old and they say a curse word, they have no idea what word they are saying.
Look, somebody taught them that.
Right, somebody taught them that, and it would be wrong to spank them because of it.
But
and
a
I'm saying
2-year-old
in our
will
community-
will have slobber all over his hand, and he will reach for a plug out of a
Okay,
socket.
and does he know that that's why you're slapping
They're
his
learning.
hand?
They're learning. They're on
Because he
Earth.
could get electrocuted.
They've been on Earth for
He's
2
2
years.
years
No.
He's 2 years old. He
That's
has
right.
no
I
idea
can't explain
why
to
you're
him
doing
that he'll get electrocuted.
Right.
But I can explain to him that every time he reaches for that, he's gonna get his hand slapped.
Maybe we have different understandings of what spanking
Okay, we're gonna
is,
beat this on the
because,
head.
Like, that's not
Well,
So-
spanking.
But you said you linking it to mental health. You saying,
And let's circle back
you're
to the
circling
point.
back.
Because again, the overall arching point is millennials being like higher incidence of mental health challenges. And that being less than Gen Z's even higher incidence of mental health challenges dealing with, coping with life. So why is that? Well, what is that about?
You guys are mean.
Does that rip?
Just
Oh,
kidding. No.
No, why do you think that is?
is this something that you've heard that there's a majority of the generation is struggling with? Is it?
There's a higher incidence of Gen Z that's having challenges, and also I guess even coping with life and dealing with that. One of the articles that I think Sherman might have sent us a couple weeks ago was that Gen Z employers are not even like trying to even hire Gen Z. Like they're not even ready for the workplace.
There's a lot of things that is happening simultaneously with this. It's probably a mixture of the laissez-faire parenting from millennials, because we're online, we're raising our kids with cell phones, right? We're driving distracted. I've seen a lot of people my age are like, they're definitely like, they're not like boomers or Gen Xers where there was really focused on the kids growing up. Everybody got a screen. They hand the kids the screen. They got a screen too, So there's something to say about that. And then also just being on the computer for a long time, a lot of your activities and your recreational activities becomes online activities. Kids are not playing outside anymore, right? And there's something about exercise that leads to mental health stability. You take away those things, you have kids that are probably more weak-minded because they're not developing certain muscle. They're not really used to adversity and being challenged, and because they're always indoors and things like that. You know what I mean? So
I think you hit it. I think you've hit it, because what you just said, I was raised by my parents. Okay. If I had an attitude, I had to get my attitude straight. But they parented, they raised us, right? I think now, in generations after us, millennials, and to an even greater extent, Gen Z, are abdicating parenting to their cell phone, their iPad, putting the kid in front of a technology piece and letting that occupy their time.
yeah,
And that's having a real direct. And not only that, kids are getting on social media where their validation is coming from likes, that dopamine hit, and having to be online 24 hours a day, and who likes what I posted, and nobody responded, and I'm not good enough because nobody likes my shit. Like, give a fuck about who posts or likes my shit. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, we've talked about this so many times on the pod, because and it never changes, right? Like, I think a book to recommend is The Calling of the American Mind, because it really tells you about the psychology of kids growing up with cell phone, the magnitude of difference that it provides. And I think you guys, with a lot of things, downplay the virtual effects because it was just never a thing for y'all. That is such a reality for kids growing up.
Yeah.
you know, and it's-
virtual reality has become reality. That's
We're in AI days,
we
you know?
we always use the example. I can't be bullied online.
yeah, you guys are still talking about back then when you were cooking around the fire. You know what I mean? Like things are not the same.
Yeah,
you know?
we all had Nairobi bones through our nose and shit. Right? It's like,
That's funny.
carries.
To go out and kill the wildebeest and drag it back
That's
to
part
the
of it.
freaking cave.
You know,
yeah,
That's part of
no.
it. But I'm wondering if you would entertain the idea that boomers are also part of this problem that they complain
Oh
about.
boy, let's get into that
How
part.
so?
Millennials don't work for themselves. They typically work for boomers unless you're an entrepreneur. If boomers continue to aid this idea that millennials are soft and need more time and need therapists at work and need a lot of time off and need to work from home most of the time and need all of these things and need the compliment sandwich, which I absolutely love.
You should say what that is, because you told us before we got on the pod.
The compliment sandwich is when you need to say some type of criticism. It is typically constructive, and you say something nice, and then you say the constructive criticism, and then you end with something nice again, so that overall you still feel good. And typically, employers do that when they need to deliver a harsh truth to you. So it
Boomer
doesn't really
employers
hurt your
or
feelings.
Well, I mean, look,
millennials?
Well, my
I
boss
like
is
what you
definitely
said.
a boomer, and I don't know anyone that has a boss that is a millennial.
I bet there are some.
Yeah, there are some.
Oh, yeah, millennials are 36, 37 years old now. I mean, they're the bosses.
Sure, but these are young bosses. For the most part, bosses are a lot older. I mean, you're a boss.
Yeah.
Not the
Oh my God, you're straight shooter out here.
I told
It's hard out here in these streets,
I
baby.
told a guy the
Not
other
really
day. I said,
Catching
you know
strays
what?
all over the place.
I said, you know what? I really appreciate what you said, but your breath smells like mule shit. But what you said made a lot of sense. And you know what he did after that? He went and got some breath mints. That's right.
Well,
it's an
it's a
effective
compliment
strategy.
sandwich.
That's right.
compliment sandwich. There's a lot.
Now,
going on.
had I not been sensitive, I'd have said, your breath smells like mule shit. Go get some gum. But he understood it, and you know what? That is a lesson that I can carry forward when dealing with my millennial employees.
Yeah,
It's okay. So, but back to your point.
yeah. Go ahead.
Back to your point.
Sure.
I think, yeah, we probably so boomers are responsible for the fact that we're not giving enough attention to what the needs are of our millennial employees.
No, boomers complain a lot about a so-called problem that they contribute to every day, and then say that millennials complain and don't do anything.
You ate because you're the one that's hiring, right?
Give me some more on that. Now, how do we contribute to the problem?
If you believe that millennials are late, I mean, just give me an example of something that you think. But if you think millennials are lazy, or if you feel like they're too sensitive,
They're not lazy.
too sensitive.
They're hard to motivate. They're not self-motivated. They
Okay.
want to be told what to do. They don't
Okay,
take
that's
initiative
fair.
and say, I see the problem. Let's get it solved this way, and come and say, you know what? Here's the problem. Here's my idea. Like, I would love to have that.
It seems like a lot of boomers complain, and I'm using boomers in a very broad sense, assuming that boomers are the ones that employ these type of people, are the CEOs of these companies. It seems like boomers a lot of the time complain about this thing, but then also provide other things. So, for example, because I know that didn't really make any sense, but if you're a boomer and you complain that therapy is now offered at the company where you work, but you signed off on that. And when you hire millennials, you use that as a selling point for them to work there. And then you get upset when they use the therapist. It's like, if that bothers you, if you want hardworking people, then you should probably keep those standards and only hire hardworking people, or don't hire the therapist. But to complain about a problem that you contribute to doesn't make much sense. It's counterintuitive.
So if I'm a boomer and I sign off on mental health therapy at the workplace, and then when my person that's working with me accesses that office perk 2 to 3 times a week, I'm not complaining about the fact that the option is there. I'm complaining about the frequency of the need to access the option.
But why? If that's what they need to be productive
that's right. But
at
you
your
know
job.
what? You have a good point, and you have a good point, and I wouldn't complain about the frequency, right? And I think this is where you're going. I would complain about the why.
Yes.
The guy that I told his breath smelled like mule shit would run down the hall to the counselor instead of going to get gum. And the counselor would have said, here's your solution. Dentine.
Ice.
Whatever. You know?
Yeah.
And he's, but he said it to me. The counselor, I would appreciate if the counselor, well, your breath does smell like mule shit.
Yeah.
And I've never smelled mule shit, but if that's what it smells like, it's horrible.
I know. You know, the shit is funny. I sometimes do see stories, and I know why you guys feel the way you feel.
Yes.
I saw a video of a girl recording the situation because she thought she was right, and her way of thinking about this was the correct way. So she was probably a Gen Zer, got fired. Her boss is calling her, and so she's recording the whole thing. And she's like, hey, I'm calling you to let you go. Well, first, she didn't tell her at work because the girl has an attitude. She would have probably burned the whole thing down. So the way until she got home and called her and fired her. And she's like, why are you firing me? She's like, well, this is including like the fifth time that you've not show up, no call, no show, and you didn't even give a heads up. And she's like, no, I didn't. So she's like, tell me, name some times. And the lady was like, well, it looks like you called off on this day at this, and you came into work at like 30 minutes late at 9:45 or something. And this other day, you just no call, no show. And she's like, well, it was my birthday. You know what I mean? It's like, and she really thought that was a legitimate reason to not call, not give heads up, and then she not show up to work because it was her birthday.
Right.
You know, and it's just the idea that we want to be able to do what we want to do, but then we want to go and get paid. So I think like sometimes you don't really know unless you're your own business owner and you will hire employees to work for you and provide a service, and they're coming in and not want to listen to you. You tell me how that's going to feel when your bottom dollar is being affected, right? And so this idea that we want to, you know, listen to ourselves, we want to do what we want, but then, you know what I mean, have a job is it's kind of counterproductive.
From somewhere.
For sure.
People treat you the way that you allow them. And so for me, I do not accept boomers not taking responsibility for a problem that they have contributed to.
Meaning what?
Sherman, how many children do you have?
2.
Okay. Do you think that you coddle them?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
So
I'm not going to press it.
No,
But
so what you're saying is the reason Gen Zers or millennials are the way that they are is because boomers have caused them to be that way.
I remember you getting on the podcast and you said that your daughter had it figured out because she lived with you. So at what point do we say, I need to allow my children to struggle a little bit? I need to allow my employees to struggle a little bit, my friends to struggle a little bit. If you had someone that was making the same choice over and over again and it wasn't working for them, would you continue to enable that, or would you try to get them to make a different choice?
Okay, so I kicked her out after that, but I did not get a counselor for my employees. So if I got a counselor for my employees, would that be contributing to it? Would that be coddling?
No, my point is that if you want to get a counselor for your employees because you believe that it's going to make them better and more successful, that's fine. Just don't complain about it.
No, you get a counselor for your employees because they say they need it. I'm not getting a counselor for my employees because I think it's good for them. I'm getting a counselor for my employees because they say they need it.
And I think that's going to eventually be good for me.
Ultimately.
It's very selfish.
So then why complain?
Because I didn't have a fucking counselor when I was fucking working every fucking day.
But maybe if you were
So
more in
aren't you
touch
happy
with
for
your
us?
feelings.
No!
And
That's a fucking
expressed
problem.
yourself.
Yeah, bitter boomers.
But I'm not bitter. Here's the thing.
You're increasing my overhead.
Here's what kills me. I'm not bitter,
Oh yeah.
but I'm a boomer. Right? So I got I'm not worried about where my next meal is coming from. I got a roof over my head.
Oh, here we
I
go.
got a little bit of money in my 401k.
Here we go.
I'm gonna be able to retire. I got, but what I hear from y'all,
But-
we can't buy no house because y'all motherfuckers won't move.
But
We can't save no money because y'all motherfuckers won't. Y'all fucked up the whole system. We can't buy a house because y'all won't
Listen,
move the houses. Everything's a fucking.
there's pros and cons that come with all that. There's there's a
They
benefit
also-
to.
What the fuck are you
there-
talking
no, no,
about?
no,
Not
listen. There's a
inaccurate.
there's
Those
a-
things that you said are true.
What ain't true?
Wait,
We don't
wait.
live in like 1776 anymore. It's
I don't either.
It is difficult.
It's
It's
hard.
difficult.
What's difficult?
It's hard.
Hey,
What's difficult?
Listen, it's
What's
not-
difficult?
listen,
no.
no.
What's difficult?
It's all hard.
What's
It's not-
difficult? No. What's
Okay,
difficult?
she can't-
No. What's difficult? What's difficult? What's difficult? Life? Because let me tell you something, baby girl. Life has always been
Oh,
fucking
great.
Just
hard.
because millennials or Gen Zers are able to express themselves and their feelings without screaming and yelling, that doesn't mean that all we do is complain all day.
I'm
And
gonna ride on the fact that it is fun. It's amazing.
What's
what?
fun?
So amazing. I mean, even there's flexibility. There's new flexibility being provided at the workplace that was never before.
Yes,
we get to
it's
now
great.
take vacation and work at leisure in different places
No,
and countries.
wait, no, you're.
We make American dollars and we fucking stay on a vacation. This shit is
That's the
sweet.
problem. There you
Listen,
go.
I'm a buy it.
There
Listen,
you go.
there you go.
That's
I
what
love
we
it.
did.
Listen,
We
it's great.
enabled that shit.
It's great. Look, listen, I'm proud of my sister. I got a sister, a real close friend, moved to South Africa. She's working with an American company that's paying her American dollars, know that she's working remotely, and she decides to move to South Africa. She's balling out of control. I support that. Y'all boomers didn't have that.
No.
Hey,
No, but you do get to reap the benefits today of what
Of my hard work.
of what some millennials complain about.
What's that?
Let's say if a bunch of millennials are complaining about not having the ability to work from home, and then all of a sudden all these firms institute programs that allow them to work from home more than they typically would, you would be part of that. So I just think, sometimes I think that boomers want to have their cake and eat it too.
Just because I agree to something doesn't mean I can't complain about it.
No,
Right?
No, it does,
No,
and
it
that makes
doesn't.
no sense.
No,
if you agree
no,
to
but-
something and you enjoy it, why
Counselor,
would you complain about it?
Counselor, the definition of a good settlement is when both parties go away unhappy, right? The only way you're ever going to resolve a contentious case, civil case, where money's involved or actions are involved, right, is to make compromises. You don't have to like them.
Are you compromising to be able to work from home, or are you benefiting from
Absolutely.
it? Then
Look,
why don't you
yeah.
go into the office every day, since it's such a compromise for you and it's so
I
difficult?
do go into the office every day, but I don't require my employees to come in every day.
man, y'all
don't.
boomers don't take responsibility for anything.
What do you mean?
Y'all don't take responsibility for
You
jack
don't.
shit.
Oh my
listen,
gosh.
and I mean, obviously, I know what it is. Again, I like to call this exponential. Like, we're thinking growth as opposed to linear. Traditionals, boomers, Gen Xers, all of those generations knew the similar things in way of life, right? So you guys learn from each other. So the way your parents live, you live in a very similar way. Well, it's not the case for millennial, and damn sure not the case for Gen Zers. And you guys are using these same ideology and way of thinking about things in life and applying it to here. It's the same frustration I have when I come from Africa, man. Like, my parents, fucking born and raised in Africa, came here and want to raise us like they did in Africa. The fourth poorest country to the fucking the best world, the best country in the world, one would argue. It's not the same thing. It's a different universe. You guys are living in a different universe, man. I'm telling you. Like, and
You
you're
benefit
stuck in a
from it.
way that, in
You
an
benefit
ideology
from
that
it.
is just, it's old and barbaric.
You
It's not the
benefit
way,
from
it's not the new way
I'm
of
a
thinking.
barbarian.
No.
That ideology.
Old and barbaric.
Old and barbarian.
That ideology is phasing out. We need to take on a new way of thinking to be able to combat challenges. And when it comes to climate change, one that you guys created, by the way, that don't take accountability for.
I take
Again,
accountability.
Your generations do not.
Oh God, look, you can't hold me accountable for what
That's
other
what you're doing to
motherfuckers
us.
gonna do. What
We
do you
ain't
mean?
babies. I don't have a therapy. I've never seen a therapy in my life.
But maybe you should.
and it would be
I have
okay if you wanted to.
I have different ways. Again, multiple
Ah.
ways of getting to
Of
the same
coping.
solution. Just like beating, I believe there are multiple ways. You could choose one.
Right.
One is lazier. One is, not as effective.
Now you're characterizing it as lazy. I don't think it's lazy. Listen, None of my children nor any of their cousins have attention deficit disorder. And I truly believe that it's because every time they went over their grandmother's house, they knew that if they didn't conform to a certain behavior, they get that ass whooped, and then they would get the explanation for what they did.
Attention deficit disorder comes from cell phone usage.
I'm
It's
joking. You understand this.
Will be funny.
But she got their attention. She got their attention. You understand? And I really do believe that there's a correlation between getting someone's attention and allowing them to do whatever in the hell they want to do and run amok.
We understand what you're saying. Nobody at this table is saying that we should just let everyone do whatever.
No children.
We are not
Infants,
saying
toddlers,
that children should be able to do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, millennials are a lot more open-minded. And that makes sense. We're younger. So we're more open to change. In this conversation, we're saying we see where you're coming from. We just don't agree, and here's why. You're saying this is wrong. This is how it should be.
Right. We know the best way.
I didn't say that.
I never said that.
We got it on the record. We'll replay it.
I said, yes, you should have counselors. Go to counseling. But damn it, don't make me pay for it. Damn it, don't do it on the job. You know what I'm saying?
But that's not what you just said. You said, well, I'll offer it if it's helpful to me and it makes me money. So
absolutely. If it makes you a healthier, more productive employee, then you can get it. You can get it.
Right.
But that makes sense, right?
I need data.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
What makes sense?
That if it's going to make the employees more productive and more have a higher quality of life that ends up translating into more productivity, it makes sense for me to support it.
I'm just a lot more harsh when it comes to this type of stuff. I really believe that when you're hired to do a job. It's great to have all of these extra other things like having therapy, or when I worked at Johnson & Johnson, they had napping rooms. Nobody ever used them, but if you got stressed out, you could go.
Wait. So it was
napping rooms
who gave Diddy all them
You
baby
could
oil.
nap?
Yeah.
The fuck?
But you go in there, you get fired.
Yes, and that's why they were always vacant.
You go in there, you get fired.
So do you give credit to employers that provide a perk that if you use it, you'll get terminated? What the fuck is that?
No, I think it's problematic.
I think that's problematic too.
That's her point.
But
don't offer it and then complain about it.
Okay,
that really
I agree with that.
point.
I agree. I agree.
don't offer it.
I'm not offering a napping room, and if you go and nap, I'm firing you. Right? I'm not doing that. That's some bullshit. All right.
If you want employees, just have them and have them do the work.
Yes.
But for me, it's
you
very
are
odd.
very boomerish.
It's very odd to hear people kind of, agree to this solution, but they hate everything about it and then complain all of the time when people do it.
Very definition of a good settlement.
That doesn't make any sense. Hire people that are going to be capable of doing
There are
the
none.
job.
But see, that's right there. You've hit upon it, because hiring people that will do the job. The fallacy is embedded in that statement, because I can hire somebody, but I don't know that they can do the
Fire
job.
them. It's not
Yeah.
difficult. Stop complaining if there is a solution. If you hire someone and they are not doing what you want them to do, fire them. It's good. It builds
And you know what?
character. Stop feeding
No,
this.
you have absolutely. And guess that segue. You're a great segue alley oop. You threw the alley.
At least you're a progressive woman, man. I like that Bitcoin shirt you got on.
No
that
question.
Shit is fly.
But hold on
You
to
get kudos for
this.
that.
Sherman sent an article about 2-3 weeks ago that talked about the fact that employers are firing en masse Gen Z.
Oh, still
They
on this?
ain't ready for the workplace. They're not. So they're firing them. You can't work here. In fact, and they don't want to hire Gen Z either, because based on our experience hiring 4-5 of y'all motherfuckers, we're wasting our damn time.
Right. And also what part of that problem is?
What?
Parents who let their children do whatever they want.
That's
not
always
just
been a
about
problem.
Spanking.
That's always been a
If
problem.
you have an environment and you
lack of
let
ass
them
whoopings.
do whatever they want, whenever they want, they're going to feel entitled. And then, of course, they're going to be upset when they go to work and they're expected to do their job.
And do you know why that happened? because somebody told the fucking kids if you pick up the phone and call social services when you get beat, your parents go to fucking jail.
Yeah.
That's where that shit
It's
started.
not about spanking.
All right, we know what y'all
No.
think. We know what y'all think about parenting. We know what y'all think about climate change. I want to know what you guys are thinking about dating. I want to know if this concept is something that's going to resonate. Because we I want to know this concept. Do you think
Would I date
you can be
somebody?
representative of boomers? Well, not only would you date someone, would you date someone blindly on
Love is Blind.
on national
I
television
love is Blind.
without knowing what they look like and proposing to them and marrying them within 3 or 4 weeks later?
I think that
So-
shit is awesome. I love it.
Crazy concept, right?
Are you watching this new?
No, I heard it came out. I'm getting ready to finish up what I'm watching now, and then I'm gonna start watching. Have you been watching
So
Love is
Love
Blind?
is Blind.
It's DC, right?
Is out. Most of them, I believe, are from Baltimore, but there are people from
Well, that says something too.
there are people from DC. And I'm watching it. It's pretty interesting. I love Love is Blind. I actually almost sent in an application, but I got
Really?
I know, yeah, I got too scared.
They
That's-
gotta, I think they gotta
let's
look for you. They gotta
let's-
pick you. You can't go searching for them. You can't go
No,
tell
no,
them.
no,
that
no,
you,
no, no, no,
They
no.
would.
You would be great on Love is Blind.
Really?
Would you do it?
I would do it. I would do it.
I would love to see you
Because
on
I
Love is
love people
Blind.
for who
You
they
should
are.
be. You should be her agent. You should get her on.
You could
Too
be my
late. They
agent.
already canceled
know.
DC season.
They cast
They gotta
them.
do
But-
another one, right?
Huh?
have you guys seen it? Have you seen it?
Hell yeah! I've seen
Oh, you-
several
no,
seasons.
have
of
you
Love
seen
is
the
Blind.
DC one?
No, not DC.
Okay, you haven't seen it. Sherman,
Not yet.
have you seen it?
Not only no, but hell no.
No, but I like Love is Blind. Love is
I
Blind.
understand
So
the
we can
concept. I
talk
might
about
have
the
watched like
concept.
15 seconds of one episode.
Okay, so I love Love is Blind. I think it's great. I've watched multiple seasons of it. One of my favorite all-time couples is Cameron and Lauren and Cameron. Yes, all-time favorite fucking couples. Absolutely. So, do you believe that Love is Blind?
Well, it depends, of course. It's different for everyone.
I think
And-
love will make your ass go blind. I do believe that.
That is what is probably most important when assessing whether the show is going to work for you. But I know that I'm the type of person that really likes who people are on the inside, what their personalities look like. If you were to look at my boyfriend,
You just set a layup. He probably ugly as shit.
no,
Like, I
no,
love him on the inside.
no, they all look different because I don't really have a type. I mean, I have a type in my mind, the way that you think.
It just land on one.
That's very valuable to me. So I think that I could do it, and I would fall in love with whomever is on the other side of the wall.
So yes.
Yeah.
So I could do it, but it's wrong for people. There are people who sign up for the show kind of just sad that they're single, winging it, hoping it's going to be okay, and then it doesn't work out because they are not the type of people that can just love someone for who they are on the inside.
I would love to go one at a time. Are you going to ask me next?
Yes.
Or you want to go?
No, I'm
first?
gonna ask you.
No, I couldn't do it. I mean,
You couldn't do it.
absolutely not.
Why?
Why?
Well, because I think there are multiple forms of communication that is necessary for me to be able to make an informed decision of who I want to be with. I'm already limited with the amount of time that I have to do it. And yet I'm blinded about who I'm seeing. So I can't see gestures. When I see someone, first of all, regardless of how much we talk, if I see them presently, like something about their energy and aura, their body language, you know, their hand, their gestures, you know what I mean? Like how they smile. Chemistry matters. It makes a huge difference, which is why you see some couples awkwardly trying to pretend like they love each other after those doors open. Because it's like, what the fuck did I walk into? You know what I mean? So that experiment can only work for TV. It's for entertainment, it's great, but the kind of person that will go on that show, for me, if I'm looking for love and I can't find it on apps, I can't find it in person, and for me to have to go through, I want to not only be witnessed by national television, I want to be behind a wall talking to someone in this experimental phase where it's probably guided to find love. The fuck do I look like? You know what I mean?
So I feel you, and you know, we've talked about this. You have a very high EQ, and so part of that EQ is vibe on a variety of things when you connect with somebody.
I need touch. I need gesture. I need eye contact. I need body language. I need
Right. So I think that love can be blind. I think that it's an interesting experiment that I think that I love the concept. I think that you can connect with somebody.
I believe so.
Without the physical.
I believe it.
And clearly connect with them mentally and emotionally. And then I think what will happen is this. I think you can fall in, you can love somebody blindly, but you may not be in love with them blindly.
And not romantically in love with them too. I don't know all those things.
So that I can love you without ever seeing you. But when I see you, there needs to be a chemistry physically as to whether or not I'm going to be in love with you.
Just because I love you don't mean I want to marry your ass.
Yeah, right.
That's a whole different commitment.
Exactly.
Right? And
layers to the shit.
And a lot of what you said, right? You know, if you don't look right from the 45-degree angle of the back of the head, I can't be with you.
I gotta be motivated to come home to you. What the fuck? Like, we all of a sudden like to be purists and forget that shit matters. I do believe that what you guys are saying, I can love someone on an intellectual level.
Right. I mean,
sure,
look, if we walk down
that don't
the
mean
street,
we're gonna be married.
Shit.
But we can be cool forever.
If when we walk down the street, you're so short you gotta reach up to hold my hand, I'm not marrying your ass.
Come on, man.
I don't care how much chemistry
Love is blind.
Before I saw you.
So fuck
I don't believe you hate no short people.
That was just an example. It was just
There's a whole short contingent out there.
It's a personality thing. I just don't have that type of personality. And I definitely respect other people that do. For you, that's important. I'm not saying that chemistry isn't valuable, but it's very valuable to just spend time with someone.
Absolutely.
And to get to know who they are.
Absolutely.
And to build that relationship and then to test it.
So I will say
you
this.
can't do that while looking at them?
I have had
the
experience.
concept, you get married after this?
Yeah, why can't you do all that shit and look at them?
But look,
like,
I will say this.
It's a weight value, the way that we weight things. If you saw someone, if you were talking to there are some things that people that we weight more valuable than other things, like whether they're fit, whether they have style. And frankly, those things can change. And so if you put all of your eggs in the basket of some girl that, you know, has a really curvy body and has beautiful teeth and nice eyes and whatever, I wonder what you're missing. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Adrienne, just because
I wonder what you're missing out on.
So look,
I think what I mean. Just let me answer that question.
I'll tell you what you're not missing out on.
Listen, Adrienne, if you're truly that person, you wouldn't need to go to a blind experiment to do that. You can look at a person and still disregard those things and be very intentional about what you want and what's real about the experience.
I disagree with that
because you can't block that out of your mind. You see what you see.
So let me say this.
I can't block. If I meet someone and I see that they're missing their 2 front teeth, we probably are not going to get to the next step. But maybe that person who's missing those 2 front teeth, that's the person for me. That's the person.
This is bullshit. You're limiting your option. That's what you're doing. Because
you,
I can meet someone with 2 front teeth
things.
and still have the other things.
But you need those.
No, it's not that I need it. It's just that I can, if that's available for me, and why can't I go for that, right? Like, why do I limit my option to pick someone that could potentially be something less than?
You care how women look. That you care about that.
I care about all of it.
Right.
Yeah, I care about how you look. I care about chemistry. I care about if we connect. I care if you are progressive. I care that, you know, I care about all these things. To be lifelong with a person, I'm not.
I love you. I love you. I love everything about you. But if you get in a bicycle accident and knock out your 2 front teeth, I'm out.
Now, no. Now, when I'm with you, I'm not leaving you because you got.
But so here's the thing. So I have been in past relationships with women that, you know, chemistry, fine as hell. You know, shit was hot. It was all that. But the deeper connection wasn't there, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I've been with women that really attractive, deeper connection, but there may not have been that heat, right? And, and that's cool too. At the end of the day, I place more of a value at this point in time with who I connect with mentally.
But that's, in my opinion, that's the most important part.
I agree at this point in time.
So do
At
I.
different point in time in my life,
So do
I would
I.
argue with you.
To love them for who they are. It's like when we were talking about before, a different time I was here, when I was like, to really love someone, it would be like if you were deaf and I were blind and we could still find each other.
How would we fucking do that?
Fuck out of here, yo.
You're deaf and I'm blind. You can't hear the fuck I'm saying, and I can't see you. That shit ain't working, baby. Fuck that. It ain't working. No.
But wait a
That
minute.
shit ain't happening.
Now that's a concept. That's a concept for a show for your ass, right? Love is deaf and blind.
Motherfucker, look, listen.
I would watch that shit though. I would watch that shit. How is he gonna find her in the house? Hey! She can't.
It's like
I see you. I can't hear who the fuck you are.
Listen.
How does that shit work?
Attraction is just a
That
motive.
shit's crazy.
Attraction is just a motivation to
No,
buy you
you just
time
need
in
to
the early
find some different
process.
motherfuckers.
we're just. I don't understand why we can't acknowledge that
I
the
don't
men at this
understand why
table.
that's even a
At
possibility.
at least some of the men at this table care more about
Somebody
what
can
people
hear?
look like visual.
I want my partner to hear me. Hear the fuck I'm saying.
Because I don't.
I'm the, you know want
You
somebody to hear you?
sexist. Oh my God.
Okay, I would date someone that
Couldn't
was
hear shit.
deaf. I would date someone that was blind. I would.
Okay. I mean,
I just think
What point
it's,
are you-
it's okay to dig deeper. Sometimes I think
How-
we're a lot
how do
more
you- I mean,
shallow.
so if you couldn't hear and they couldn't see, how the fuck are y'all?
would still love
How
each
you even get into the damn restaurant to eat? How are you doing any fucking thing in life? Everything is hard.
Stevie Wonder is married. There are many.
You know, he can
Yeah, but he can
You know,
hear.
Was Helen Keller? Did Helen Keller have somebody?
No, she died
probably
alone.
did.
You know, is it true on the subject? I mean, maybe we can look this up. Is it true that not like it's actually a smaller percentage of blind folks who are 100% blind? So there's a bit of sight. Did you guys?
Yeah, no.
I don't
I
know
have a
the
friend of mine.
statistics on that.
I'm not even going. I can't out her, but I have a friend of mine that almost all of you all know, and she was dating this cat, and he couldn't see, but he wasn't completely blind. But he really couldn't see. And she was really, I liked him a lot. But she's like, but he couldn't see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And that's
he could see
okay.
enough to make him think like, maybe you're not really blind. But then again, he couldn't see enough to make it worth her time to really, like
that's
she's like,
interesting.
I can't.
Yeah, she called him Mr. Magoo.
So, and this is important. I mean, like if you, Idrienne, and I commend you for saying, you know, I will date someone who's blind. I will date someone who's
course,
deaf.
yes,
I don't
Would
think
you,
that's.
would
I
you
don't
date
think
somebody who's blind
everybody.
and deaf?
Yes.
That's incredible. And you know, like for
They
me,
can't
like
hear you or see you.
for
They-
me, I
it-
grapple with the idea of adopting a child. I just know that, you know, for me to raise someone, have the motivation and the capacity, I want them to be my own. I feel like this has to be this like primal connection there, and that's my thing. Who knows? Maybe if I adopted a child, you know, 2-3 years in the process, because it's so pure and innocent, I can fall in love with them and have that bond.
Here's a
but
question.
initially, I don't think that way, right?
Here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you met a woman and she was everything that you wanted. She was smart, gorgeous, emotional quotient that was off the Richter scale. You connected with her on every single level. She was, in your estimation, your soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
But she had a child
Mm-hmm.
that was blind and deaf. Would that stop you from being with her?
No.
Well,
The
that's
hell?
because he doesn't have to date the child.
Well,
like
yeah.
he doesn't.
No,
wanna
but it's a
be with
package deal.
someone that's-
Well,
Well,
that you know, you if you're
I
gonna
think
be
the
with somebody, you're
point
gonna
for
be
him
with
is
them.
that it's hard to establish it, and
No,
I
go
don't
for
want
it.
to speak for you, but maybe it's that it's
Too late.
harder to to establish a romantic connection with someone that's blind and deaf.
Yeah,
Or
well, we're
even
talking about
blind
so
or
many
deaf,
different
it
things.
would
We're
be
talking about
hard.
adopting. We're talking about someone who already has a kid with a disability. We're talking about me dating someone with a disability. I mean, those are all different things.
Right.
Or me dating someone and then what could be another alternative? Maybe, yeah, no. So those, I wouldn't, if I dated someone or if I like was talking to someone and realized that they had a kid, that wouldn't be a deterrent for me or deal breaker for me. What would be is initially would just be, well, do you have the capacity to entertain me or to build a relationship? At what extent? I think it's just about convenience, right? So if a person has a kid and they're able to still give the time and the effort that is necessary to build a relationship, great. I think I would just be deterred because I'm like, well, if you have a kid, that may come with some juggling. You know what I mean? But it's not that you have a kid, so it's a deal breaker. You know what I mean? So there's a difference there. Whereas some guys just don't want to date a woman because they view them as no longer appealing, no longer desirable after they have kids. Right? A lot of men feel that way about women. Like this,
you know, that's an evolution for you because we on earlier podcasts in the early days, you had said you would never date a woman that had a kid.
That's not what I said. I think my point was still about the inconvenience of it. Like, so we talked about if I talk to a woman, I loved her already, but not probably. I really like her. I'm attracted to her. We've built some chemistry, and then I later on find out she has a kid. I said I will talk to her. But if I go on a date initially and she tells me she has kids, I'll just be like, I'll cut my losses. You know what I mean? Because if I'm dating, right, the market is like, it's just come and go. It's a swipe left, swipe right. You meet someone, and I would be like, I'll just go on to the next.
So the dishonesty wouldn't matter?
The dishonesty?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You're dating her. You're together. You have the chemistry. You're falling for her. And then later you find out she had a kid. You don't think that during the time of your romantic, relationship, she should have told you that at some point? You don't feel like that was dishonest?
We're talking about how long did it take for the chemistry. It could be a day or two.
I don't know.
It could be a day or two, and then she tells me.
What's the cutoff point? Shit.
It could be whenever it is. It's organic. There's no cutoff point.
Okay.
Right? There's no calculation in that matter. It's just how I feel.
So,
my point is...
So y'all could be walking down the aisle, getting ready to get married, and, the ring bearer comes up, and you're just like, damn, that's a cute little kid. He's like, well, she could say, that's my son, and you'd be all right.
I would date a woman with a child. That's the whole point.
Well,
You
that's
would.
different.
I would.
Yeah, it's about what's reasonable.
Exactly.
It seems like you're saying if she expresses that to me in a reasonable amount of time, then that would be fine. I'm not going to exclude someone solely because they have children.
Well, that's not funny.
What are your thoughts?
On dating someone with a child?
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me, dating someone with children. And as you get older, it's going to be more common
Absolutely.
to meet people who have
Absolutely.
children.
Who have a life before you got there.
It's just different. You're not just by yourself in that relationship. There's a child. And there's someone else to take into consideration. But there is just so much beauty in seeing the way that other people live their lives. And I think that if I never took chances sometimes that I wasn't sure about, I wouldn't be able to experience a different type of joy. And when we go into dating, we go into it similarly to a job. You want the perfect job that has all of these things lined up. And dating, it has a higher standard. You want someone with the perfect body and the perfect job and the perfect life experiences, all of these things, because you want to create the perfect family. But what is perfect is really up to you to decide.
That's so interesting. You're this beautiful, so flexible. Then why are you still single? I mean, you would even date a blind and a deaf person.
And that whole
you got the whole
profession
range available.
Now,
right?
there's going to be a lot of blind and deaf motherfuckers hitting us up on the...
It's not to be offensive. And I think one disclaimer, too. I think, here's the thing.
I heard you had a woman then.
I know this may not be a popular opinion, but I don't believe in disabling the disabled already. I think they need to be normal participant of society. You should be able to make fun of someone and joke and laugh with them and care about them. I don't think if I was in a wheelchair, man, don't skip me when you're making jokes. Hey, get me. I want to be a part.
But that's because you're not in a wheelchair.
That's right.
So
I think that's
you
right.
don't know
I
how
don't know
you would
about
feel.
I think that's
I
right.
think they're out there. I think they feel lonely. People don't pay them attention. I think people want social
What
interaction.
person in a wheelchair has
Have you been to a
spoken
comedy show and
you?
saw people in a wheelchair?
What person in a wheelchair has told you, hey, Lovely, make a joke about me and how I can't use my legs? I feel left out.
Wow.
Ha ha. You know what? I would love to have a friend in a wheelchair that I can laugh about his disability and he's comfortable with it and it's funny with it and we bond on that because he understands that, you know, at the end of the day, just like anything else in life, it's about the intention that matters. So you can try to call me out and make me sound insensitive, but the truth is...
I'm not trying to make you
no,
sound insensitive.
no, I'm giving you the
just saying
opposite view. The
that
truth
it's
is, there are a lot of
not
people...
our job. It's not your place to decide that a joke should be made about someone else that you don't share that experience. You haven't shared that you have family members with disabilities, that you have siblings with disabilities, that you have one. You haven't shared any of that, and you're deciding the types of jokes that society should make about another community, and we don't have the ability to do that.
I agree with Lavala. You should be able to joke about anything that's funny.
You know, and that's the thing, you know, that's part of
that's
the...
the comedian's
But
creed.
who
Let
decides
me go-
what's funny?
well,
Funny is incredibly
people who
subjective.
Anybody who
laugh
wants to
at
be
it.
funny.
Right, the
That's-
people who laugh at it. I'm not saying that people who have a disability should be excluded from jokes, but
Another one. I didn't get the chance to answer you, but go for it. Go for it.
I didn't get the chance to answer you. You asked me why I was single and beautiful.
Oh, but you... Go ahead. We'll answer all of them.
Why are you single?
Only you can answer that.
Right.
I think that's more
Only
of a God
you
thing.
can prevent forest fires.
I think that's more of a God thing. But as beautiful as I may be, no, I'm just kidding. I did think that was very sweet. But you still have to be able to connect.
You're welcome.
with- thank you. You still have to
Could
be
you
able to
answer the
connect
damn
with
question?
people. No, you still have to. You still have to be able to connect with people. And I date.
Do
I
you
date.
think you have a challenge connecting with people?
I think that I love talking to people, and I really love the dates that I go on. I have absolutely loved every boyfriend that I've ever had, and I'm sure, you know, I'll love the next one. But when you decide who's right for you to spend all time and eternity with, it's a really serious decision, and you're only going to make that decision once.
And you can
So
do that
it
while
doesn't-
blind behind the door.
It doesn't mean very much to me to be in a relationship. You can be in many relationships over long periods of time. But for me, I want to be committed to one person forever. So when I date to marry. And so sometimes those relationships don't work out, but you have great experiences. I'm friends with everyone that I've ever dated, but that doesn't mean that everyone you date is going to be right for you. It's impossible.
True, absolutely. Yeah, I'm friends with almost every person I've ever dated. There's only one person I'm not currently friends with. Yeah.
That's funny.
To him. You got to say who it's funny for.
Because I know practically like 80% of them, you know, ever
90
since we,
probably.
ever since we were in our 20s.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I wanted to ask you guys. I got an email in my inbox 2 days ago, and it was about a straight. You guys know the Meetup app or website where you can host events.
Of course not.
And yeah. So it's been around for a while. I think mostly it's connected through Facebook, and boomers actually use that Meetup app a lot. But anyway, I got this email, and it was a Meetup group. It was an all men entrepreneur group. And initially, I never thought anything of it. It was just, you know, on my screen, and my partner walked by, and she sees it. She goes, "All men entrepreneurship group?" And I said, "Yeah, what's wrong with that?" She's like, "Well, at first, I'm gonna ask before I even state her opinion. To be fair, do you guys automatically see a problem with that? To have an all men's entrepreneurship group, something that is not like a brothers club or anything, but something that is like more about career path in society, considering that women are already the minority. Do you think it's fair for men already to have a all men's group as opposed to being more inclusive, where women can do that because they want to come together more and gather resources?"
I don't see a problem with it.
You don't see a problem with it?
No, I mean, because I think there are a lot of groups that are, you know, women entrepreneurs are out there. You black folks trying to do this are out there, white folks trying, people throw shade on white folks trying to get together to do shit, but every group, Latinos group, there are different groups that have an affinity for each other. I don't have a problem with that. I don't.
I don't have a problem with it because, if I go to that meeting and I meet someone who has a business that coincides with a female that I know that has a business, then that's going to be an entree that I'm going to introduce her to. So I don't see it, as being exclusive other than, okay, we meet, we talk about business, but the things we take away from there, we can share with anybody.
Mm. And the other part of that, too, is I could very well see that particular group maybe getting together at a cigar bar, smoking a cigar, drinking whiskey, because that's typically a male type of thing, while there are women that are into that. But that's probably what they would end up doing. And that's cool. That's fine.
Now, if it said all men's entrepreneurial group, we're going to get together, drink beer, belch, and call women bitches.
I've done that, too.
But I guess a question.
It might be a problem.
Yeah. Idrienne, do you mind weighing in on that? Since you're the only woman here?
Sure.
That's funny when you sidled up to the mic.
I don't have a problem with it. I suppose it's odd. I haven't heard that. Just like I wouldn't have a problem with an, all white group or an all. I don't really care about that kind of stuff because I think that is what keeps our democracy functioning, having groups of people that others don't necessarily agree with and allow to function freely. So I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's kind of odd. I've never heard of it.
Great points. Yeah. Sure.
So did you go?
Did I go? My initial thought was just kind of similar. I was like, I don't know if there's an issue. I think her question was, if you gotta be all men, why? Why are you choosing to exclude women? Especially if it's something that has to do with, the matter of like the workforce, like a career, not, brothers in society. You know what I mean? Like not like more of a brother bond thing. Because there's a need. I understand the need. I have a friend group that we came together with the purpose of just being, guys that can be a mutual benefit to each other. As adults, right? It's all men. Great. But in business, why? Why a public platform or a public organization that represents the majority going only men?
I guess the question is, what's the benefit? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Why?
I see that.
It's a fair question. Why? Most groups already are mostly men. If you didn't put a label on it, maybe mostly men would come anyways, if not all men.
True, right.
And typically when you have these type of groups, it's because they represent a marginalized part of society.
Right.
And so even just saying men only, it gives off the impression that you feel somehow wronged by society and you need this group to protect your identity and to further your own interests because society as a whole doesn't. Mm-hmm. And of course we know that that's not reality. So then the question would be, why? What does making this group only men, how does that benefit you, and why do you need to be benefited in that way?
Do you have the same feeling about white dudes for Kamala and white women for Kamala? And
well, I think that's a completely different question. You're saying, do I feel some type of way, which I don't, even for this men's group. It's sort of just like, well, I'm not really sure why you have it. That these men are supporting themselves and their own interests. White women for Kamala are white women supporting a black girl, a black woman. What white men for Kamala are white men supporting
white dudes.
White dudes, excuse me. White dudes are supporting a black woman. So it's not really the same thing. This isn't a group of men that want to have, entrepreneur endeavors that support black women or women. They are supporting themselves. So I think it's sort of like apples and oranges.
If there's a group of black men for Idrienne, you'd be cool with that.
Sounds
only if they're deaf and blind.
only if they're deaf and blind with a personality. There's nothing wrong with wanting.
What you want?
We can't go without having you guys intellectual opinions about the vice presidential debate. I just think this is the perfect cast.
Presidential debate.
Yeah, this is the first and probably last time we ever hear from them folks.
So before we go there, let me say, you had your take on our podcast about the debate between Kamala and Trump drew some comments, because you were saying that it was 3 against 1, and
other people later on,
other folks said, "What debate were you watching?" Right, and that was interesting to me.
But that's the only one you saw.
No, there were some other comments that were like, you saw others that were supportive.
Well, first, I think it's interesting that I didn't set any preference on our generation as podcast, TikTok, but surprisingly, overwhelming amount of people that watch our content are left. So I mean, that's typical.
Left leaning,
of course. Right? I didn't set a conservative or or liberal bar. I don't know where that happens. I don't know how it attracted people that just like that, all that one-sided. That says something. But there's something. So any just like we have in this room, anytime I say something about criticize the left, you guys, let me go. Hey, I'll take one for I got them. You know what I mean? Like the 3 of y'all. You know what I mean? So,
I don't think that's true. I don't think I'm like that.
Yeah.
I don't think you are either.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
You said before that you think that
I'm like that, damn it.
Candace Owens. No, I don't think that I'm like that at all. But it's your opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, still, I was half kidding, but with you. But yeah, so that's why the guy made that statement. But I think other people later on, had the same take that it was a 3 versus 1.
Really?
Yeah, it was just, but I understand Donald Trump is divisive. I get it. He's hard to talk to. He's someone who's untamed, and it's easy to have that.
Here's the thing: they did engage with him more because he lied incessantly, and they were fact checking. They only fact checked him 3 times.
He actually spoke 6 minutes more than Kamala did.
He lied 33 times. They only fact checked him on 3.
Kamala always she lied more than they fact checked her as well.
She lied more?
She lied. Yeah, they just didn't do it.
Well, he's saying they lied more. She lied more than they fact checked her. So if she lied once and they fact checked her 0 times, then that's more.
I think that's what
I don't
it
know
was.
how relevant. You're right.
She might have said something that was inaccurate once.
Misleading. It wasn't really a lie. It was misleading, I think.
They didn't fact check her. But, I guess it could seem like there were 3 against 1 because there were 3 people seeking an honest and open conversation, and there was one motherfucker that refused to engage. So, yeah, I could see how they could see that. Having an open mind about what actually happened, I can see that because Trump was being Trump.
But when you choose to make your brand and your identity the way in which Trump has, which is by kind of saying crazy things, like almost attention grabbers, as if you were writing a paper and you really needed something at the beginning. When you choose to run your campaign that way, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of people who feel like they're always ganging up on Trump. And that's because he chose that path. He didn't choose the path to be articulate and to properly state what he feels and is able to back it up by facts. He's never done that. So when you do that in general in life, I mean, you don't have people there to fact check you. And when you do that on the presidential stand, it's going to look like people are bullying you because the standard is higher.
Fair point. That makes a lot of sense. I agree. Totally. Now, with the vice presidential debate, when it was happening, I texted you guys in the group chat, and I'm like, well, Walter's losing. And the first person that responded no was you. How do you feel now at the end?
The same way I did when I responded.
Okay.
I think it was pretty much a tie.
Losing. This debate, I think, restored a lot of humanity and respect that people had within our democratic system. You heard a lot of times that Walz would say, oh, I agree with you. And a lot of times that J.D. Vance would say, oh, I agree with you.
Right.
So I
the friendliest
probably
debate.
would understand your perspective a little bit more if you said they were even. But to say that Walls was getting crushed, I firmly don't believe that. I think he answered the questions directly. And when he messed up, he said that. He said, look, I said that thing about Tiananmen Square. That I shouldn't have said that. I that was wrong.
So
and I think you do have to do that. And so I don't agree with you that Walls lost.
Okay.
I also believe that what we saw is just not really reality. The reality is that the sides are very opposed and they don't agree with each other. They don't even agree with each other on the things that they said that they agreed with each other on.
Yeah.
What do you think? Sherman, were you going to go?
I didn't see the first part.
You didn't see the first.
I was someplace and I came in the second half, and Wall still looked like he was caught in the headlights.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought was, damn, if Kamala wins and something happens to her, this is the guy?
We're going to all be gardeners, I tell you that.
This is him? Joe from Home Depot and shit?
Yeah.
But,
I still rather him.
J.D. Vance, he was so smooth, but he was lying his ass off. And I don't care if you give it to me with a spoonful of sugar, it's still some bullshit. It's going to taste like bullshit. It's going to smell like bullshit. And it's going to be bullshit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
90% of what he said was bullshit. He's talking about giving women choice by taking a choice away from them, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna give. Wait. We're giving women's choice because we're making adoption easier. We're gonna make childcare cheaper. We're gonna make it more affordable for them to have children. Well, what if they just don't want to fucking have kids? The biggest choice you're taking away is their choice, and you're gonna sell that as, no, we're actually giving them more choice. It was slick.
Yeah.
But it was slick bullshit.
It was.
Yeah, but that's not that's not the question I asked you guys. I
But-
said,
but-
wait,
but-
let me go now.
But if you want to know who won the debate,
That's all I asked.
who won the debate? Nobody wins debates. Who's keeping
disagree.
score? Where's the
I
score?
disagree.
How can no one win the
Yeah,
debate?
I think
Where's
Kamala
the score?
bust.
Where's
It's a
the
public
Kamala
platform that
busted-
everybody gets to determine
Yeah.
who
Yeah, Kamala
who
beat
they're going to
Trump.
go with,
Who
who
was
convinced
better?
who's better.
Right. Who was the better debater?
And I asked who won the debate. I'm not saying who was factual or who was the better candidate or for who was the better candidate for the seat. I said who won the debate.
I think it was a tie.
I think.
And then that's probably
Can I go,
a
guys?
better.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys go. I think that Waltz lost because he was not prepared. He was nervous. Where in other places, environment, he seemed to be very confident. He and Kamala, they were like very comfortable and confident. On that stage, he wasn't that. J.D. Vance, the opposite. He's been trying to find his footing and very like stumbling upon everything. He came on as very problematic, arguably the most unlikable vice president candidate. Because he's so divisive. He says things boldly, and that wasn't him on the stage. He was very poised. He articulated himself really well. He represented Trump's policies extremely well. He was very tactful. He was prepared.
That doesn't mean
And
he
He was
won.
not
So in your mind, he won
he outperformed Waltz, and he looked bad.
You're only saying that because he basically just like. I'm sorry, I just really don't agree. It would literally be like if I gave you baking soda and wrapped it up in candy and told you it was candy and you ate it and you were like, "Thank you very much."
A lot of Americans are obese because
because the
of
packaging was good.
Because
Hey,
the
Americans are
packaging
obese
was
because we
good.
feed them what?
Looked like Mary Jane's, but they didn't.
Right.
Taste like
So
it.
she
Act like we have control on what the FDA approve and we get fed. We
Wait.
don't, right? You act like we don't care about the truth. I know it feels like far off, but let me
No, it's
let me
far off. It's like way.
Okay, well let me make it make sense. Yeah.
No, but at
No.
least let me address what
Sure,
you're saying.
go for it.
Because really, we can take
Now I look
out-
stupid because I can't even can't even close that point.
No,
Go
close
ahead.
that point.
No,
Let him close
it would
that
take
point.
way too long.
Go for it.
there are a lot of people that got really wrapped up in how likable JD Vance came off. That's what he needed to do. I mean, you said that he was the most unlikable VP. He said a lot of things. He has really alienated a lot of people, especially the cat lovers. And he decided to go in and do what he needed to do, and he did that well. He came off as if he was charismatic. He waited and then spoke a lot of times when it was time to speak. But the reality is, if you really listened to what he was saying, nothing that he said, for the most part, especially when he decided to agree with Walz, really represented the population. He would say, like, oh, you're right, that woman who needed care that died that died trying to get care, but I think she was going to another state, and she lived in Georgia. He said, you're right, she never should have died. These people never should have died. Really, like, it's not that we don't agree with abortion. It's just that women get abortions because they feel like they can't actually have a family and raise a family, and they're worried about the type of lifestyle that they'll have. So we just want to give you options. But the reality is that they want to give you the options that they've decided, and then you choose from the specific options that they've given you. So, I mean, saying, well, oh, she shouldn't have died, and then providing no actual solutions for anything that you've said the entire night is incredibly problematic. He is going to win over people that were on the fence, but if you listened, also a lot of the criticism that he was making was towards Kamala, saying she hasn't done anything as VP. Vice presidents don't do anything, and that's why none of them talked about the platform that they had.
But you know that. Knows that, right? Sherman knows that. You guys are educated with disposable income. I get it. I like how you think that American people are going to wait.
No, this is a civic engagement class.
Sure.
You take it in middle school. Everyone here... Did you go to middle school in this country?
I did.
Okay, everyone here
I
should know
class,
the role of the vice president.
I don't remember.
Vice presidents don't.
I don't remember it.
Decisions.
And so does a lot of Americans.
They do what
Listen,
someone is delegated. They do what they are delegated.
Okay, but my point is that we sit here sometimes and we think that a lot of people are going to vote based on logic and policies, but that's not really the case. So when I'm talking about the level of how people perceive things here, and I think what the energy is, and what I think that people are going to lean towards, and in that sense, he won it. I think Walz just failed to play the game. Right? Politics is a game. He got there. He was unprepared. All the stuff you're saying makes sense.
Why
you're talking to people who is like in a different.
But why do you believe that he was unprepared? I'm not sure just quite why you're making that statement.
Well, he was nervous. He definitely was nervous.
But that doesn't.
Did you watch it? Did we watch the same debate here?
Just give me.
He was unprepared to perform on that stage.
He was nervous, sure, but that doesn't mean unprepared.
It was something that he could not have prepared for because it was a situation he had never been in. But I do think he could have given better answers. And he did not because he was nervous.
And that's fair. I'd agree. I think there are times where he could have given better answers.
Second half was much better than the first for him.
Yeah, it was.
He finished strong. And I would grade it as pretty much a tie.
Who would I want to walk away as the better person and the winner of this? Because I do believe there's a winner. It'd be Walz. That guy aligned.
Okay.
Yeah, he aligned. I know some. Look at y'all. I know you.
He said that's who he would want to have
Yes.
believed.
Oh,
he
yes.
believes that JD Vance won the debate.
Yeah,
For all the reasons he's just stated, that's fine.
I mean, the man is a caring man. He's a charismatic. He cared for the people. He genuinely cared. If he was in office,
he don't give a shit.
Who?
No,
JD Vance.
I'm not talking about that.
He's talking Walz. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Walz.
I got my priorities straight, man. I'm telling you, I'm approaching this thing with just straight down the middle.
You're not approaching it down the middle. You just believe you're approaching it down the middle. But the reality is that we all have biases. But you're saying that you believe that J.D. Vance did better because he came off more likable. And that's fair. And all I'm saying is that, if someone is feeding you something that means absolutely nothing to no one.
We're going off different metrics here, and I think that defeats
then that's not helpful.
We're going off of different metrics. I understand. That's okay.
Yeah, because my metrics are the metrics that society
that the people are going to vote for behind.
You're basically saying JD Vance.
Did he? I think Diddy did.
Oh, you're back to Diddy.
You think Diddy did?
It's time to shut this motherfucker down.
Diddy.
Yeah, no.
Well, I think it's good to have all those opinions out there. I look, especially given the fact that the people who are consuming our content, a majority on the left, and I think they need a diversity of thinking and view, and it's good to be able to at least have these, not unbiased, but a civil discourse, I'll say. You know what I mean? I think it's important.
I like that word.
So, I mean, I because we tend to just kind of, like, you talk about being biased, but for the most part, like I said, I'm curious to see how many people listen to this and agree with you. I would be curious. I think let the people decide too. It's interesting when people, after we post the episode, the comments and how,
it is.
People add their own.
You're not straight down the middle. A lot of times when we have these discussions, you're like, come on, guys. Like, I'm just an unbiased spectator. I don't have.
I am.
And yet everybody else.
I would dog the right too. I would dog the right. I just don't have. I don't need to do that because there's so many people here who already do that for me. So I just play.
Just because I have a different perspective than you. I mean, it's all subjective. If everybody goes to the movies and everybody says it's funny,
I'm not beating you up for your. I'm not saying.
It's just a
did I say you was wrong for having your opinion?
Well, you can say that I'm wrong.
So
that's okay. I'm just saying that you're not down the center.
Did he?
You're just providing a subjective perspective, just like I'm providing a subjective perspective as well. But you are not always just this neutral party that can, look at the trees or step away from the trees and look at the forest. You see it similarly to other people.
Sure. Yeah, I believe so. I believe there are people who think like me. Sure.
Just nobody around this damn table.
I believe,
and that's okay. There are people who think like you, but those people aren't seeing an objective perspective. They're
those
just seeing
people,
it from their side.
Instead of saying, well, everybody is seeing it from their side. Like, what are we really talking about? Here's how I will better word this. I'm more of an independent thinker when
You're
it comes
not
to.
any more of an independent thinker than anyone else at this table.
Bullshit.
You think you're an independent thinker just because you disagree with me sometimes. That doesn't make you independent, and sometimes it makes you wrong.
Not disagreeing with you. I'm just talking about what I think about the. Wait, hold up. I'm okay with being wrong.
I had to run that one back.
I'm okay. Look, I am so okay with being wrong.
No, sometimes
I'm not married. Listen, I'm not married to my opinions, Idrienne. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm okay with challenging your thoughts. I'm okay with agreeing with you and playing a devil's advocate. At the end of the day, both of these parties that win, they have agendas that's not really for you and I.
I don't agree with that. I don't even understand what that means.
Sure, I know. Sure, it makes sense. We have a difference of opinion. That's okay.
It's very important when you say things to be able to back it up with something that makes sense.
What? Let's wrap this thing up. What am I backing up? What do I need to back up?
At the end of the day, both of these people don't do anything for us. I mean, that's the whole point of voting. Of course, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that Kamala Harris. I don't agree that political parties don't want what's best for society.
You believe in democracy still.
A dangerous way of thinking.
You don't believe in democracy?
I think it. I believe in democracy, but I think it's being challenged right now. I think it's a little bit fragile right now.
I agree,
and I think we need to be able to explore those things. And
it's always fragile.
Yeah,
it's republic if you can keep it.
Very true. And I think some people are probably afraid of that and
afraid to lose it.
Afraid to lose it. Sure,
I'm afraid we might lose it.
Yeah, but afraid to just have a honest conversation around things instead of being like politically biased.
See, that's where you lose. You said honest.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. See, there's a discord that's happening, but it's not based around honesty. I think that there's one side that's more honest than the other. One side deals in whatever the fuck they want to say to move the needle. And in fact, will lie incessantly to move the needle. And there's another side, I'm not saying that they're always 100% honest, but they're more honest, and they strive to be more honest and candid with the constituency. That's what I think. And so do I want to go into an area where motherfuckers just lie just to manipulate the masses for what they want? Nah, I'm not down with that.
Okay, I think you play to your fear. And whenever I'm talking about or criticizing the left, you play to your fear. The automatic
to my fear.
You play to your fear. So the automatic response is, well, Trump isn't better. A lot of people question, including myself here. I know because we've talked countless of times, so I know some of his logic and how he thinks about some things, right? So that's what I'm alluding to. But a lot of people have including myself, just have questions. How did the vice president, who we never heard from, had the lowest approval rating once, all of a sudden came to the limelight when Biden couldn't run anymore. All of a sudden, we just had to rally behind this woman who didn't make a statement, didn't do anything for a while, for a long duration of time. How did that come about? And for people to even question that, it's like to be against it. And it's just like, that's a fallacy way of thinking. That is not, you got to be pragmatic about things. That's all.
Are you asking how it happened? Or are you asking why was there such an overswelling of emotional support behind her?
Yeah, I'm questioning all of it and open to all of the reasons.
The way it happened was that Joe Biden is old as shit.
Absolutely.
Okay? And party politics, the parties set their own rules. Okay? And what the Democratic Party rules said is that we can have him step down and choose another candidate to represent our party in the presidential election. Mm-hmm. They had him step down. They couldn't make him, so he agreed to. They had him step down. He endorsed Kamala Harris. The Democratic Party had a choice as to whether or not they would go along with that endorsement or choose some other course of action which allowed someone else to challenge her. They decided to go with her. Now, the overswelling excitement and endorsement of her is something that may never be explained. But I do have
a theory.
My theory is that joy vanquished hate, just destroyed it, made it go away and hide. And love is basically the antidote to hate. Hate can't stand up against it. Light vanquishes darkness. Joy vanquishes anger. And it just happened because those are universal truths.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. And we're coming to the end. We're getting ready to wrap it up, but I have a question for you. When Trump won the presidency in 2016, and we were... I was distraught. You remember that period of time.
Yeah.
And you were like, it may be a good thing. Maybe a good thing for Trump to have won. I mean, it's some lessons we need to learn. And you were like, it could be a positive thing. After experiencing the 4 years of Trump, do you think it was positive?
No, I came back on record and said no. I think he did too much damage. But I'm of the mindset, if something has already happened, then I'm looking at the glass half full. What can we do? Right? I am a rational optimist. So I'm not someone who's going to have a pessimistic approach. And also I'm someone who is from a war-torn country. I see what happens in a time of war and how people can come together. And I think that the biggest strength that we have in a democracy is with the people, right? The founding fathers, that's why they created this way, the government with this structure, right? Let the people decide. And I think government are so good at hiding the truth, and people just come in the next term, and this is this big behind the curtains, this operation that's bigger than anybody who stepped foot in there, right? That goes, once they get briefed, they go, holy shit, I didn't even know this is what I'm walking into. Eventually, they're like, listen, this has been here before your ancestors motherfucking came around. You're going to follow orders. And it's little that they can do. And so I'm thinking, well, if Trump wins, he's so unpresidential. He's so unruly. He's going to peel back the curtain and let the people know, and therefore the people can take action. And we saw what also happened as a result of this. People came together. A lot of things happened during those years. Right?
So people are coming together to keep the curtain closed, is what you're saying.
I don't.
So that we don't get a peek behind what's really controlling our government and what we do.
No, Trump was the one that was peeling the curtain.
Right. And so the people have come together to say, we don't want any more of Trump because he's peeling the curtain back and we might see what's really going on.
What he did other damage along the way too, right? Right, like I didn't say Trump was going to be a good president, so therefore that's what it is. I'm saying he's going to be so bad he's going to help us out. That was the logic behind it. Looking at the glass half full, right? Because it is what it is. Think about what are the be diversified. I mean, be versatile in the way you think about things. So I'm thinking, well, what can be a benefit here?
Well, I think when you said that, I said it might be a good thing because we will value what we might lose, right?
That
we will see how bad it could actually be.
That too.
And then we will fight to preserve what we have.
Absolutely.
I thought that might be the case, but I had no idea that so many people would just say, you know what, I want to believe what I want to believe, right? And they will believe anything because it's not what they see in front of them, right? And so they go into these conspiracy theories and these wormholes, and it makes them feel good because somebody agrees with the crazy shit, the batshit crazy shit that they believe. And they say, well, there must be some legitimacy to it because other people believe it. That shit is dangerous, dude. And you know, I used to think similarly to you that this country was run, you know, mostly by corporations, and that the president didn't really have a impact on what actually happened in the world. And then George Bush became president and went into the Middle East, and I said, that's the craziest shit I've ever seen, and nobody agreed with it but him. And of course, who's the vice? Dick Cheney?
Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
They fucked the world up, dude.
Yeah.
They just because they had this way of thinking. And I was like, wow, the president really does have a lot of power. Because it was just a small group of people who said,
It's true.
this is a good idea. And it was the worst idea ever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's going to be tough because the richest man in the world is backing Trump.
Elon.
Yeah, so
Yeah, well, we'll see.
he has the biggest platform. He has a lot of influence, and Democrats are willing to push him out. You know, so
I think
There's that too.
I think Elon's losing a lot of his luster, quite frankly. I mean, me, but I could
sounds
be
like
wrong.
Yeah,
I could be
that's
wrong.
the feeling.
I could be wrong. I mean, I could be wrong. We'll see. But you know, Elon is in, and I still have some modicum of respect for Elon. I mean, I respect the fact he's sending a spaceship up to get the astronauts off the space station that couldn't get back. You know, he's doing some shit. But
he's financed that shit. He's not intelligent, okay? He doesn't know shit about rocket science. He does not.
Well, he doesn't.
He does not
doesn't
know
do those
shit
things
about
himself.
electricity.
What?
He doesn't. He bought this science, right? Does Elon Musk have a degree in rocketry? Does he have
Physics.
a degree in electronics?
Physics.
He's got a degree in physics. He don't know shit, dude.
What?
He's got a lot of smart people around him, and he's got a lot of innovative ideas. But you ask that motherfucker to do a math problem, he'll never get it done.
What just happened? Okay.
I was getting ready to shut it down, but I guess, we got to let
Maybe
this
we'll take
run a little
another
bit.
episode for this. That was the most outlandish stuff I've heard in a long time, and even
He's not well educated. He doesn't know shit.
what do we even? Well, how do we even begin to dissect that? So how did he manage to
Money.
Do you know how many people have money that haven't done that?
Everybody but him.
I don't even know what to start. I mean,
We
I don't
probably
even know. Like, I don't even know where to start.
We
with
should
this.
come back next
Yeah,
episode.
we need a whole episode because we
Yeah.
need to dissect it. If that's
because
a wild claim.
I do think that Elon is probably on the spectrum. I think he's probably
He
a
has
genius.
Asperger's.
I think he's a genius.
He's a fucking.
I think
this
he's a
is
genius.
Wild.
But I do think that he is.
He's also problematic. That's true.
Yes, he's problematic. That's kind. And so but again,
He's a dipshit, dumbass motherfucker.
all right. So on that note,
What a
we're gonna bring this
conservative-
episode to a close.
That's the most
We're gonna
conservative
come
I've ever
back
heard you.
in next episode. Not the next one, because next
I
one
know
got
it's
somebody
possible,
coming in.
Sherm.
But
Peace,
after
y'all.
that, we're gonna come back and dissect Elon Musk.
Indeed.
Next episode. See y'all.
One after next, not next.